Today, we're going to start talking about Trump's global tariffs being blocked by an American federal judge. More accents today? Thank you. Don't worry, I got you.
Court has blocked his tariffs on China and other countries, ruling that the president had overstepped his authority under the law. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce starts us off. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. And this is a massive blow to the president's trade war. For months, Trump has argued that the world is ripping America off, defiant in his executive authority to impose these staggering tariffs. But now a federal panel says the president is overstepping his authority and that his tariffs are illegal. Overnight, a staggering setback for President Trump's aggressive trade agenda. A panel of judges on the U.S. Court of International Trade blocking most of Trump's sweeping tariffs on China and other trading partners, determining that they are contrary to law. The move effectively bringing Trump's trade war to a screeching halt. In April, the president declared a national emergency to impose his so-called reciprocal tariffs on goods from every country that trades with the U.S. without seeking approval from Congress.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
As markets roiled, Trump defiant.
I know what the hell I'm doing.
But overnight, the federal panel ruling that the law does not authorize the president to use emergency powers to issue tariffs, and that his executive orders exceed any authority granted to the president. The judges appointed by Presidents Reagan, Obama, and Trump also blocking tariffs Trump imposed on China, Mexico, and Canada to combat fentanyl trafficking because they do not deal with the threats described in the president's order. The Trump administration overnight quick to appeal, the White House rebuking the court.
I think the court's coming after our big, beautiful boy that simply wanted to molest the money, and stopping his money molestations is really messed up. The judges that have played a role in blocking this so far as I understand, are Reagan judges, Obama judges, which is, of course, lame. Obviously, Obama is a communist, but also Trump appointees. So it's not like these guys are all woke libtards, okay? Down to the Obabe judge. So they're just saying enough is enough. Your money molestation must stop. And it's really messed up. I was thinking about this. As you guys know, I don't entertain conspiracy theories. I do like conspiracy theories. I like analyzing conspiracy theories, but I'm not like a big conspiracy theorist. Having said that, this has played out so perfectly that it almost feels like a psyop to make it seem like if there was ever an opportunity for real trade protectionism, if there was actually a real socialist in charge, that the court system and all of our legal processes will destroy that, because Donald Trump has gone through this in the most idiotic way possible, that it almost feels like we just wanted to make sure that the judicial process could just like eliminate any kind of initiative from the executive office in the future. Okay, has Hasan talked about the alleged throuple between Stephen Miller, Elon, and Miller's wife? Please stop. I saw that. I saw the first 3 seconds of that on my TikTok For You page and instantly shut off TikTok. I turned my phone off. I was like, nope, too much phone for me. I'm good. What kind of insane things am I signaling to my For You page that it's showing me the most like lib bait, blue anon, nonsensical position? Of course, while all this is happening, the Trump administration says it will appeal the tariff ruling. This is from yesterday. A reminder to watch this play out in courts and beware the volatility that surrounds it. Also a reminder that rule of law in American court system as a balance is a huge reason investors flock to the U.S. If there's a perceived breakdown with this issue or others, it would mean a breakdown in confidence of inbound investment. An observation: for the past month or so, I've had CEOs and CIOs of major U.S. and international corporations and investment firms pull up lawsuits, including far outside of tariffs, such as Harvard's, with the briefs saved handy on their cell phones. They're watching for fairness at the end of the day to see that the system holds up. I think a lot of people don't understand how important this is. As someone who grew up in Turkey, let me tell you, okay, at the end of the day, you either need to have an incredibly cheap manufacturing base so that you can offer super profits to multinational corporations like China does, or you have to have an incredibly solid, transparent legal structure so that your investments are kept safe. At least there's some sort of legal restitution that you can get. America offers a court system and a functional, I guess, like judicial utopia in comparison to many other countries. The reason why I'm making this comparison with Turkey is because when I was at Bloomberg in Turkey, Bloomberg Habertürk in Turkey, this was one of the things that came up quite frequently when I think this was like the era of privatization for Erdogan. I mean, there's never not been an era of privatization for Erdogan, but I remember vividly there was one meeting I went to with like MBA students. There's something above an MBA. I forget what it was, but the most important thing that they were talking about, is like, in order to bring in foreign capital into the country, there needs to be some kind of there needs to at least be there needs to be at least like the presence of parity and the presence of fairness, and that when things are done, when business and commerce is done in like very corrupt ways, bribery, or when the government can like seize assets or pick and choose winners in the marketplace aggressively, that actually causes investors to pull out, foreign capital to pull out of the country. If your investments are not protected by at least like some institutions that will at least be as fair as possible, you're going to have a harder time bringing in foreign capital into your country. And the same goes for the United States of America as well. The United States is basically like the one of the greatest examples of this. Now, some people, given how cheap the manufacturing base is in other global South nations, will work around that. India is a great example, obviously. You know what I mean? Like they just overcome that fear, because the alternative is they get to make so much more. They get to make so much more in the long run, as long as they can keep the hyper exploited workers working in the manufacturing hubs, as opposed to the alternative being in the Western world. So there is a gamble. There is a risk to reward ratio there for a lot of foreign investment. But for the United States of America, we don't have a cheap nor robust manufacturing base. The only thing we have is the courts. The only thing we have is the institutions. So Trump is not only molesting the money directly, but he's also kind of molesting the process. But let's see.
Saying it is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency. Adding the administration is committed to using every lever of executive power to address this crisis and restore American greatness. For weeks, the president's on-again, off-again tariffs have caused whiplash on Wall Street, sparking major sell-offs when he issues new threats and rallies when he pulls them back. In the Oval Office yesterday,
I don't think the court socialism thing you mentioned is a conspiracy theory. Is it not true that the American legal system is wrapped around capitalism and would have to be fundamentally changed in many ways for allow for institutional socialistic policies? Yes. That's why I said I'm joking. It almost feels like he's like trying to eradicate any kind of opportunity for a potential like social democratic leadership to come in to make some changes unilaterally from the executive office. I don't think that's the case anyway, though. All right, let's keep going.
Trump lashing out when a reporter asked about a new term for his turnarounds.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response?
I'm not kidding when I say this. This, I think, originally came from the Financial Times reporting, and Financial Times has been kind of carrying the entirety of Legacy Publishers of the West on his back for the past year and a half. I kind of feel like the taco is dangerous, but I would be lying to you if I wasn't excited. If I were to tell you I'm not excited to see where this goes, I'd be lying to you. And I kind of feel like a lot of people that have been that feel as though they've been over by these systems also want to see how badly Trump can blow this up. I'm scared. I'm cautious. I think that it's not good if we had a Great Depression. But also at the same time, don't you kind of want to see where he will take this a little bit? Like there is at least for me, there is this morbid curiosity. And I want to see like, how badly could he molest the money? How badly could he the bag up? It's almost like I think there are a lot of people who like deep down inside, there's a lot of people who are like, I kind of want to see where this goes. That's because you're rich asshole. Yeah. If he the bag up, he the bag up for me too. What are you talking about? The rich assholes are the ones who are freaking the out over Trump's money molestation policies. What do you mean? The rich assholes are literally the people who are like, do not this up for me. I am making so much money right now. Who do you think is more freaked out? I know everyone is saying that's because you are a rich man, you are privileged, you won't end up in the streets. But like chatters. I know. That's why I'm saying I'm cautious. That's why I'm saying it's like that's why I said it's a morbid curiosity, and it's almost like a what do you call it? It's almost like it's bad. It's like the call of the void. Okay, it's like when you step next to the ledge and you're like, there's just like a brief moment where you're like, that's crazy. It's the call of the void. So I know it's bad. It's an intrusive thought. It's an intrusive thought. Exactly. But it's funny when people go, you are privileged, but it's like it's the most profoundly privileged people on the planet that are literally actively trying to stop Trump from the bag up for them. Do you see what I mean? Like on the one hand, I recognize Trump nuking global trade is destructive, as I've covered extensively. On the other hand, there is this like, this system is so fundamentally flawed. On the other hand, there is this like weird little inkling inside of me, this weird little voice that's just, an intrusive thought that I'm being perhaps a little too honest about, that goes, how far could he take this? Like, how far? What would he do? What could he get away with? Do you see what I mean? And I think there are a lot more people out there that genuinely feel this way, not recognizing the immediate impact because they're stupid, okay? And not recognizing the damage that this would do to them individually, that are so resentful towards the consolidation of wealth and power, even if they themselves are little capitalists in training, okay? They have the same like Sigma grind set. One day I'm going to be a capital owner. I'm just a temporarily embarrassed millionaire attitude. And yet still, they are so angry and so understandably resentful for the consolidation of power and wealth at the tippy top that they are also going, yeah, just up a little bit. Up. This was what I think happened with the first tariff initiative, where there were a lot of dummies that were unironically talking about how this was a great wealth transfer. It wasn't. Money is fake. And he was just removing zeros from the end of it, okay? That's all he was doing. The first tariff initiative, when it first launched, he just wiped trillions of dollars of value out of the American stock market, and it just went nowhere. It's like it just erupted in flame. And yet people were still trying to present it as like a big W. And I think there's a desperation. There's a desperation there. Like people are so angry, so resentful, and so interested in change that they're like, change in any direction is good. The reason why I'm describing this to you is because I need you to understand like what the anger, like what the motives are for people who like Donald Trump, like where this comes from. Like what are the different factors that contribute to his popularity? Because I believe that if we actually fully comprehend what those factors are, we can at least use it to our advantage and hopefully get these people on board and redirect them towards more productive points of anger and resentment. Okay? Anyway, let's continue.
To that.
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive. And you ask.
He's so mad. He's like, this is the most disgusting. This is the most disgusting. This is the most disgusting question anyone has ever asked. No one has ever asked such a nasty question.
A nasty question like that. It's called negotiation.
The court has now given the administration 10 days to halt these tariffs, and the Justice Department is now appealing, setting up a legal fight that could soon reach the Supreme Court. George.
And Mary, the Washington Post is reporting that this Qatari plane deal, which the Defense Department had said had been finalized, actually hasn't gone through.
Yeah, despite those claims from the Defense Department, the Washington Post is now reporting that the U.S. and Qatar have not actually finalized a deal for the transfer of that.
They won't even let me have my jet. It's messed up. They won't even let me. They won't even let me have my jet. You don't want me to have nice things. They don't. The Democrats hate you and they hate me. They don't want me to have nice things.
That $400 million luxury jet that Trump plans to use as the new Air Force One before being transferred to his presidential library. Now, according to the Post, Qatar still wants to clarify the terms of this deal, including making it clear that the transfer of this jet was initiated by the Trump administration. None of this, though, is expected to derail this deal. The plane's already in the U.S., but it is sure to continue and to spark those legal concerns about this transfer, George.
It's all about those legal challenges.
Most of President Trump's tariffs could soon be on hold after a ruling yesterday by a 3-judge panel at the Court of International Trade. They ruled unanimously that the president has overstepped his authority in his trade war. In response, the White House said, quote, "It is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency," end quote. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here to break this all down. Jill, good morning.
Good morning.
So what does this mean for President Trump's tariffs? Does this mean that they are off?
Well, it means that we have another chapter in the story. This story is not over yet.
Okay.
Because what this ruling does is it says it clamps down and says you've got 10 days to go through a bureaucratic process to take away these tariffs that were announced on April 2nd. Now, those were the broad 10% that went up to 145%. Other tariffs on steel, aluminum, and cars, those were done under a different law, and those remain in place. But the administration is going to appeal this. It could go up to the Supreme Court eventually. And so we're in flux still on the tariff story. That's where we are right now.
How is it going to affect businesses, do you think?
I think it does nothing for businesses because I think what happens is we are still operating under a cloud of uncertainty. If we all owned a business and we had to make decisions today, what would we do?
Yeah.
Right.
What will the outcome of these court cases be? Am I going to invest a capital in a new building here in the United States if these tariffs could get rolled back? And am I going to hire? You know, yesterday we had the release of the minutes from the last Federal Reserve meeting. And officials at the Fed are worried that this uncertainty around tariffs could lead to a rise in inflation, in the inflation rate, and also slow down the economy. So I think that until we have more certainty about either deals or the rollback of some of these tariffs, businesses are stuck. It is as clear as mud, as they say.
This is so complicated. It's an octopus thrown into a tree. All right, what about consumers and investors?
You know, it was funny because someone said to me, "Oh my God, is this great? Then now I can go buy a car and it'll be cheaper." No, not necessarily. Prices are not going down for consumers. Again, we don't have clarity. From the investor side, there's been a fascinating trend that's gone on, which is I think a lot of investors are looking past tariffs. You know, there is a trade acronym going around Wall Street, and it must be driving the president crazy. It's called the taco trade. Have you heard of it?
No.
Nope.
Trump always chickens out.
Oh.
And this actual acronym is the position that many traders are taking. They are saying he will roll back these tariffs when the bond market moves against.
I don't know.
So when the
It's like, should we? I go back and forth on this. On the one hand, I think the taco stuff is very funny and very good. On the other hand, I'm like, should we be playing with fire? Should we be playing with fire and antagonizing the beast like this? Also, on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, why don't we use this to other stuff? You know, it's Taco Thursday, baby. Just weaponize the taco stuff, which clearly is working, on Israel. Just be like, dude, I have it on good authority. Benjamin Netanyahu thinks you're a bitch. He thinks you're a whole ass bitch. Okay, capital B. He thinks you are terrified of him. He says, I won't do any ceasefire. That's what he told me. He told me, Ron Dermer said you're a bitch, dude. Think about that. I'm just saying. Maybe we could use the weaponize the taco thing for something more productive, right? He's like, he doesn't think you will be able to facilitate a ceasefire. He said, he told me personally, he talked shit behind your back. He's like, once you leave the room, he's like, damn, Trump is so stinky. Damn, Trump ain't got no motion. He said he liked Joe Biden more. He told me he was more worried about Joe Biden working tirelessly around the clock for a ceasefire, that type of shit. You know what I mean? I'm out of options, man. I'm out of options. Okay. You know, do you have a better alternative? I don't think so. Do you have a better alternative other than manipulating the fragile ego of Donald Trump? Yeah. I'll end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. I'll end the genocide in Gaza in 24 hours. No, the won't. Taco, dude. I want Taco to be Trump always commits openly. Trump always commits openly. Yeah. Not Trump always chickens out. That's what I want.
Stock market moves against him. And so we are seeing stock futures rise right now in the pre-market. But what is clear is investors believe the tariff story is in the rearview mirror. We don't know if they're right yet. We just know that that's what they think.
Never heard that phrase.
Taco trade.
Trump always chickens out.
I hope Trump doesn't hear about that.
Yes.
He knows about it. It's from a Financial Times columnist.
All right.